All right, so let's kind of go over the numbers for January. Like I said, we're just going to kind of do a deep dive into previous month, and then we're going to dive into MLS area numbers. So if you guys work in strategic areas, that will come and get a little awareness of that. And then we'll go into market share as far as what agents are doing and brokerages. So just kind of giving you some more confidence on the market. So when you're talking to buyers and sellers, all right? So let's kind of go in. So if you remember you're in MLS, we pull from the market stats button and it pulls up looking like this. I change it to a bar graph and I do a 2-year history and I do resale. New construction throws it off significantly. Example, if I did all construction, it changes the numbers a lot. So this does pull everything in MLS. So let's kind of look at what happened in January. I would also recommend you guys compare it to what you guys are doing in your business as far as how busy you are in certain areas. So right now in January, the average sales price is up 13%. So prices are just skyrocketing even in the midst of January. And realize before, obviously March 16th was when the pandemic, we kind of had to stay at home orders. So this is actually still pre-COVID. So we were at 238 last year and we're at 270 this year. Look at our listing inventory is crazy low. And you'll see how that affects the supply. We had 17, almost a little over 1,700 houses listed in January of last year, just under 1,500. That's why there's like 4 houses on the market, right? Pending sales are up 12.3%, which is interesting because obviously inventory, pending sales, listings are at 15, down 15%, but pending sales are up 12%. So you see this tug of war happening. I think it's getting worse compared to last year. I don't know about you guys. And then closed sales is up 18%. Now, remember, the closed sales are 60 days, typically 45 to 60 days behind, right? Because we probably wrote these offers in December, if not the end of November. So Thanksgiving, Christmas time, and they're closing in January, right? So this is not exactly an indication of the 2021 market because it's obviously lagged from last year. But days on market is 7 days, down 75%. So last year it was they were actually days on market was 28. And then this is the crazy thing. We're down 64% on month supply. So this is great information to be sharing in your newsletters. This is going to be great information if you do anything with social media, Facebook Live. You can recreate these type of images in Canva and use this as data talking points that we really do need inventory. And then I want to show you a little bit about the showings versus pendings. This comes from showing times and it compares to the pending status in MLS. So you can see the number of showings is going up. So I'm sure you're showing up to show properties with buyers and there's probably 20 people waiting to get in, right? So you see the demand is super high, but unfortunately the supply is down, right? So that's that natural supply and demand for economic, okay? I will just I'm gonna give you a little overview of new construction real quick, and then we're gonna roll into MLS. So if you go into new construction, I might toggle back to give you a difference there. So new construction, the average is 348. Obviously resale is 270. So most likely everybody knows that it's more expensive to to purchase new construction, but realize that the new construction pricing is crazy. This is percent to list to, so they're getting exactly what they want. There's really no negotiation in new construction. You probably already know that. And they are selling out faster than they even can get the sections open, right? So, all right, so then this is a little skewed because this is new construction in MLS. Obviously, we know there's a lot of off-market stuff, so they're down a little bit. I think, honestly, they're just selling it so fast. Why do they even need to put it in MLS? So I don't know if that's an accurate reflection of what the market's doing. This is pending sales. A lot of times they'll put it in MLS, as you know. So if once it goes sale. So it's up 29. And look at, again, resale is up 12% in pendings in January, but new construction is up 29%. I've been saying this, I think I said this in the last two market of the moments. New construction is starting to fill the gap of inventory that we just can't get. We can't get sellers to commit to listing with us. And then obviously it's because we don't have the inventory to supply that. But we got to realize that we need to do a little bit more education with our buyers and our consumers that we can help them in new construction. Closed sales, again, this is more indicative of what last year was because January kind of slides in from that, especially because the average time for a new construction obviously is about 6 months to build. All right, so does anybody have any questions about that before I go on? I think it's important that you do kind of see how that works as far as the difference between new construction and resale. Days on market, supply, a lot of these numbers in new construction world aren't really, in my opinion, accurate. I worked in new construction for a long time. We didn't use MLS the way that resale does. So we put it in for pending and closed sales to kind of get it to the finish line. But these days on markets aren't actually generally correct. Sometimes they do obviously build to suits or things like that. But it is indicative of price. I think it is indicative of pending and close. All right, so let's dive deep into, let me go to a little PowerPoint to see what MLS IDs. And if you want a certain area number, let me know. Like I said, I always recommend you downloading this on MLS, making sure you really are conscious and aware of what the borders are for the MLS area numbers, because there's a big swing in the difference between it. So let's start with area 6462, which kind of is in that area here. So we're going to change this to resale. We go up here to MLS area, and let's go to 60. Let's go to 62. All right, so write some of these down just so we can compare what's going on in Chesterfield, right? So it's still showing, obviously, prices are up by 11%, and that's 297. New listings in that area are down by 17%. There's only 146. It's not too far off from what last year was. Pending, 133. So if you remember, look at that. I mean, new listings was 146. Pending sales is 133. I mean, we're just shy of just eating every single daggone inventory house that we have up. And then you'll see closed again relative to really what the work you guys did last year. Days on market is 6. But look at that, how crazy. I mean, you can see how fast all of that's 78% is only 6 months or 6 days. And then month supply, crunching numbers, not even a full month, half a month. So if you service that area, that I would even scream that a little louder. Area 62 is crazy when it comes to that. Okay, so that's 62. Let's go to 64. I don't know if you can hear, but my dogs are going crazy because they found this huge rabbit this morning. All right. Obviously, this is the resale rate, yeah. All right, so this is 64. Average price is definitely significant. Why do you think this is so high? I don't know if you guys, I know you guys work in the 62, 64 area. Why do you think there's a huge jump from last year? That's a significant jump from, anybody have an opinion about that? Anybody selling anything in area 64 Chesterfield? I mean, why is that jump? That's a crazy high jump. I don't know the answer to that. I would like to know why that is, because the average resale in area 64, 38, that's, I mean, that's crazy. So new listings, kind of follows a trend. Pending, almost on mark. So the one thing you'll notice is that the pendings were up significantly. Was it right? 60. Let me go back. What was the number for? Yeah, it was up 16% in area 62, but you notice it was pretty much exactly what happened last year. So we're actually not selling really any more product than before. Obviously, I think it's impacted by that. But if you had 40 under contract and 45, 45 listed and 40 were new listings, we can't, it's literally, we're selling more than we can keep up with. Not too much different. Days on market and then supply. That follows a trend that obviously on the average there. All right. Any questions, anything else on kind of that area? I wanted to dive into Henrico real quick. So let's go into 60. What did I just say? Easily distraction, 34. All right, so Henrico area 34, 312, that's a natural price point difference. New listings really were not that much different than last year, only by a couple units. So 93 listed. Then look at this. We're almost exactly what pending is, and closed or up. Again, indicative more of how we did. So just kind of looking at these three numbers, sales price up a little bit, new listings almost even within a couple units, and then pending. So you'll see in area 64, it's kind of, it's evened out a little bit. There's 6 days on the market. Supply is not still the average, but you're seeing that people, the sales prices, pendings, all that kind of are flat. Percent to list to sell price is at 100%. We know it's above 100% because this caps out above. Unfortunately, I wish it would go above. I've never seen this above 100. I know people are paying 20, 30,000 over asking right now, but it caps out at 100%. So if you're in Henrico, just look at that. Prices are up, but inventory is crazy. So, all right, what else? Any what other ones we want to go into? What about 22? Let's kind of look at 22. Up around 11%. That's a normal, I've been seeing anywhere between 9 to 11%, so that seems like a normal progression for the month. Again, there's new listing, slightly down, but over 100 units. Pending sales 100. Again, comparing, we listed 102, we put 100 under contract, and then we closed 80. So what we want to start to see is if there's any start to decline in closed units. So when we go into February, March, April, when we're going to kind of ending out the first quarter, we want to see if any of these decline. I don't think they will, but eventually if we see the decline in closed sales, it's the consumer saying enough is enough. They're either frustrated because of inventory, they're frustrated because of price point. But right now we are just blowing the doors off when it comes to that. Days on market, 7 month supply is really on trend with everything that we've seen so far. What's this? This is crazy. Area 22, the average is 17.5 showings. That's the average. So you can see there's a huge increase in showing activity. So if you have, does anybody have any listings in Area 22 right now? Because you should be having a crazy amount of showings compared to last year. So
I do, Mark. I mean, I do, Drew.
I like Mark too.
Sorry.
But Is your showings increased or?
Yeah, I just listed one showing start tomorrow, and I think we're near 40 showings over like 2 days.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the average, right? So yeah, and it's going to continue to be like that with 102 listed and then 100 sold.
Right.
That's insane. So let me kind of end with a little bit of a breakdown of, let me move this out of the way, of the market overview, just so you have a little snapshot. Is there any other MLS IDs you guys want me to go over? You want me to shout out any ones that you are working in, you have buyers in? I went over a couple core ones for Henrico and a couple core ones for Chesterfield. Is anybody working in different? I had somebody working in like the Powhatan area. Those numbers are very interesting. I don't even know what Powhatan's MLS ID is. People are saying, hey, Powhatan's growing quickly, prices are increasing, which they definitely are. So if you ever have anybody in Powhatan, I mean, it's crazy new listings. Powhatan doesn't follow any trend that I see in any other MLS area ID. But a lot of people are kind of moving into that area, so inventory is obviously low. Pending sales is down. So you can see it's not able to. So they listed 25, they put 20 under contract. Closed was 28, so it's pretty much. So I don't really know what that says about Powhatan, but I definitely think that it doesn't follow any trend line as far as any other parts of Richmond. So if you do have buyers kind of sporadically looking in different area numbers and then happen to go into Powhatan, make sure you're pulling those numbers separately because these don't really line up with anything else. So I feel like Powhatan's its own little island because price points, pendings, new listings, days on market, none of it matches what's kind of currently happening. So, all right, well, let's go into a little bit of overview. Again, I feel like you never can see this daggone font, but this is just what the previous month was. So this was, I can do year to date, it's going to do the same numbers. So this is volume by agent. I'll just kind of just show you what the people are doing coming out of the gate. Again, this is just for January. I like to do resale. So Kyle Yateman is number one. He closed out 20 units at 8 million. Jenny McGraffey, she did just over 4 million. Justin Wiley, 3. Stevie Watson, 3.2. Patrick McKee. So you kind of see maybe some Scott Shaheen, 2.7. So I like to see this because obviously the beginning is everybody starts off at 0, right? It just shows kind of where their trend lines are already coming out the gate. So, Brad Ruckert, he's got 6 transactions total. 5 of them are listings. 1 of them was a buyer, and 2.6 million. So I don't ever want to use this to use it as a comparison from one person to another. I want you to just see like what are the trend lines, regardless of the person's name. How many units are they selling? What is their closed volume for the previous month, right? And it just gives you a little bit of a target focus if that's something that you desire to have that type of volume. Of course, everybody's level of success depends on what they want, right? Let's kind of go all the way down to the bottom. The top 100. Brandon Jinks was at 1.2 and he's in the 100. Is any of us in there? Let's see if any of you guys kind of, let me just look. You'll notice it. I notice a lot of, also, I don't know if you know the MLS ID numbers. A little trick is when they start, obviously, with an older number like an 8 or a 7, they're newer agents. So it's interesting. Sometimes you'll see smaller numbers, like 4 digits. They've been in the business for a while. So it's just interesting to kind of see how people are doing overall. Rick Cox, Heather Valentine's 53. She's at 5 units at 1.5 million. Who else do we possibly? Lindsay Jones. So just kind of a good marker to see. Anybody? You can also pull up your own name, right? So you can type in, I don't know, who do we pull up? Anybody. So you can pull up your own name by just typing it in that box, just to get an idea of where you are for marketing purposes and different things like that. Okay. Well, let me go to the last part, which is just the overall brokerage snapshot. So I'm going to do the firm report. Again, it's just for January. So the number one brokerage right now, according to MLS data for resale in January, is Long & Foster. They closed 305 units. Hometown Realty is number 2, EXP number 3, Joyner, Shaheen, Farmville Vaughn, Shaheen, Ruth Martin, and Vaughnville is 5. Keller Williams Realty, that's Richmond West. That's a coding as Richmond West. They're number 6. So that was great. You're in the top 10 of all brokerages. United Real Estate, number 7. Non-MLS office, those are obviously FSBOs. Those are people coming from different brokerages outside of our CVRL MLS. Keller Williams Midlothian is number 9, and Remax Commonwealth is number 10. So I coached several of you guys in several of those brokerages. Anything else? I do see a lot of these independent brokerages. What I always see is they kind of broke off from a traditional brokerage, and they are creating their own groups, right? So the Hogan Group, Rick Cox is another one that just broke off, where they were a team and then they decided to be an independent brokerage. They're definitely doing well as far as volumes. The team volumes they definitely are going up. Steel Group is an example. They're number 19. Coach House is number 21 out of all of MLS. That's really great. 22 units, 7.7 million. So that's very strong in the top 100. Clock Towers doing well. Liz. So just kind of look at this. This is interesting. This is a new one. I don't know if you ever heard of this brokerage called Next Home Advantage. They came out of the gate. They're only like, that brokerage is only a couple months old. They've sold 22 at 6.2 million. So, so just to kind of look at what it is. Icon's number 32. This one's that broke off separately. They were originally with Newman and Dunn. Keaton is at number 33. So Valentine Properties is number 37. Jenny & Co., number 41. So that's strong for them. But if you look, they've got 9 units at 3 points. So what I do is, a lot of times I'm doing the average price point, like, all right, if they're doing this kind of volume, how did they get there, right? So 3.4 million divided by 9, what's their average price point? Is it a fluke? As you watch them each month, you kind of see some trends change. There is no trend in a 1 month, right? January isn't a trend yet, but by March, we can see a better projection of what it looks like. So that's kind of an overview of what I wanted to go over. What I would definitely recommend is you guys looking at these numbers, logging in and looking at your numbers a little bit stronger compared. And then next month, we're going to be reviewing February numbers, which will give us a year-to-date comparison. It'll give a 2-month trend, which is better than nothing. Right now, we're looking at just flat numbers compared to last year. The one that's going to be really interesting is after the pandemic started, right? So if we're at March, so looking, I guess, at April and seeing that going forward. So that's pretty much the update, the market of the moment. If you guys, I recorded this, I'll put it on the Facebook group so you guys can review it again. But if not, go into that MLS stat information and make sure you guys are pulling it for your presentations. This stuff is great for when you're looking at CMAs as well. If you can't justify a price, which I know is hard pricing houses right now, showing them some of this data to show that where the puck is going, where the trend lines are, may be an indication. This is also stuff that you could share with appraisers to give them an indication of the trends of what's happening. Of course, appraisers will use it or not. It's up to them. But if you're having any appraisal challenges, you also could use this data as a marker to say, hey, the prices are up this much by whatever area number there is. All right, well, that's it. If there's anything else you need, let me know. But thank you guys for joining me this morning, and I'll see you guys at your one-on-ones or our next training, okay? Bye, everybody.